Hello, this is Elios Paredejo reporting from Suzhou in Jiangsu province of China. Today we will be embarking on a trip to the world-famous city of Shanghai, to a vibrant and important district, a community called Xujiahui. We will explore the place, talk about its culture and history, and the two people who influenced the place as well as China as an entirety, and how their influences last until this day.
右转，沿最右侧车道行驶，470米后右转。再次见面。
Alright, good morning. Wait, good day. I've just arrived here at it's quite near the center, I guess, of this area, Xujiahui. And I will be taking a tour around one of the most historically important parts of this region. Let us see. The architecture around here is mainly quite Western, with red bricks and stuff like that. I believe this is a school. The glass ball is one of the famous landmarks. You can see it behind there. And this place is religious, educational, commercial, and cultural hub. And it is one of the first places in China that experienced Western sciences, Western architecture, and all of the stuff like that. And even now, it still bears a lot of the original Western buildings and just general influence. And this is a very old and famous area in the city of Shanghai. So this is a very old library, or like here it has this is very Western architecture. It is the Shanghai Library, Bibliotheca. And this is the early romanticization of the name of Xujiahui, Zikaiwei. And this bibliotheca is very remnant of the Western architecture that highly influenced this area. And you can see it around here. And as we come here, we come to one of the kind of like signature landmarks. This is a big cathedral. I'm not sure of the name. I believe this is the St. Ignatius Cathedral, the largest Catholic church in the Far East at the time it was established. This was established, I believe, by the Jesuits, who came quite early in the history of China to convert the Chinese people to Catholicism, and which highly influenced the entire region. This is a close-up of the cathedral. You can see it, Gothic architecture, and formed the city's early skyline. Let's see this little plaque. Let's see this little plaque over here. Important monument under the state protection, the Shanghai Church. It's currently closed right now, and for non-Catholics, here is the Shanghai Catholic Diocese selling relics, stuff like that. There's a sign that says "Don't film," so better avoid filming it. But here is the Catholic Church Diocese. You can see here. It's probably a bit invisible, but still. During the late Qing and the Republican eras, Shijiahui grew into one of the most important Catholic and intellectual centers in East Asia. The Jesuits established an observatory here. I'm not really sure where it is, but it is a core institution for meteorology, astronomy, and scientific measurement in China. They also founded the St. Ignatius Cathedral, which you see over here, and the Gothic red brick towers became a defining feature of the district's early skyline. Schools, libraries, and printing presses followed, including the renowned orphanage over here. I believe this is a library. We've seen a lot of libraries here. They're having construction. The library is here. I don't think you can film inside. I'm not really sure. So the region is both a spiritual center and an incubator of Western science, education, and culture within China. It is one of the earliest places in China to harbor Christianity, with the coming of the Jesuit missionary Matteo Ricci. One of his main associates was named Xu Guangqi, and it is his name that gave rise to the name of Shijiahui, which basically means the converging of the Xu house. Xu Guangqi is one of the first prominent Catholic converts in China. He took the Western baptismal name of Paul, and he was different than many of the Catholic converts at the time. Instead of saying that Confucianism defies that Christianity defies Confucianism, he said that the both are compatible, which is a quite new thought at that time. But many Chinese were against Christianity because they were afraid that it would defy their beliefs of Confucius philosophy. But Xu Guangqi pointed out that the two are actually compatible. Wow, there's a person over here fixing his car. Interesting. So we are now coming to his memorial hall, Xu Guangqi's Memorial Hall. I believe it is right over here. The memorial hall is. This is basically a small park. Let's go and have a look. I think his tomb is also here actually. Let's go check this out. So his tomb is somewhere over here. Oh. I believe it is over here. Kind of need to be silent. Here, you see there's a big cross above his tomb. His collaboration with the Jesuit missionary Matteo Ricci is rooted in mutual respect and a shared dedication to scholarship. Ricci introduced Xu to Western mathematics, astronomy, geography, and religious thought, and Xu in turn offered Ricci insight into Confucian philosophy and classical Chinese learning. Here we are. Here's some Latin. Veniocinarum Doctori Siu Paulo. His baptismal name is Paul. And yeah, you get his tomb here. Here's it in Chinese. And here also. And here also. If I remember correctly, Xu also translated the elements, Euclid's. Is it called the elements? I believe it is called the elements. Euclid's elements into Chinese. And this work was completed in 1607 and is the entry point for Western mathematics in China and influenced scientific learning for centuries. She also sponsored reforms in astronomy and calendrical science, pushing for more accurate calculations based on Western methods. She officially converted to Catholicism in 1603, and he took the baptismal name of Paul. His conversion is not impulsively, but after the culmination of many years of studying and personal reflection, he decided to convert, and he took Confucianism as a complementary moral and philosophical framework, and Christianity not to be a rejection of Confucianism, but the both were complementing each other. He saw in Christian doctrine an ethical depth and universalism that aligned with classical ideals of virtue and good governance. His support for the Jesuits gave their mission legitimacy among Chinese elites and helped establish a century-long flourishing of Catholic intellectual activity in China. Beyond religion and science, Xu's contribution to statecraft were substantial. He advocated for agricultural reforms, promoted new crop varieties such as sweet potatoes, and wrote extensively on irrigation and farming techniques. His complete treatise on agriculture remains one of the most important agricultural encyclopedias in Chinese history. Mentioned earlier was the Xujiahui Observatory, formerly known as the Shanghai Astronomical Observatory, and it is here just opposite opposite the tomb and park of Xu Guangqi. You have it here. You can see, you might see there's a little plaque over there. Here's Xu Guangqi's memorial hall actually. And here you have it, the observatory. You can actually see like the telescope thingy at the top, the big dome that characterizes observatories, astronomical observatories. So here we are. This is another side of the park. It looks pretty natural and pretty nice. And I planned to like take a look in the memorial hall, but it is shut down right now. Just closed at 4 p.m. so I'm like late, only 20 minutes or so. So I guess we'll have to visit it another time. But still, we get to see the park as well as his tomb, and his contributions are very high to both to Chinese Christianity as well as Chinese sciences and overall technological advances. Let us take a moment and do some studies about Xu Guangqi's main associate, Matteo Ricci. And he is a Jesuit missionary, Italian Jesuit missionary, and he first entered mainland China in 1583, settling in the city of Zhaoqing in Guangdong province. And he realized that the scholar officials valued learning above all, and so he adopted the appearances and manners of a Confucian literatus. He wore silk robes, studied classical texts, and conducted himself with the restraint and formality respected by the elite. His mastery of the Chinese language and etiquette was not superficial. Ricci genuinely immersed himself in Chinese culture, producing scholarly works in elegant classical prose. So Ricci, he gained acceptance among Chinese intellectuals because he offered something rare and valuable, Western scientific knowledge. Ricci introduced China to mechanical clocks, world maps, Euclidean geometry, and astronomical instruments. His famous world map, he redrew Chinese geographical understanding by presenting the Earth as a single interconnected sphere. And instead of placing Europe at the center, he positioned China prominently, showing cultural sensitivity and political tact, and the Chinese officials were impressed. And it was in Beijing that Ricci's influence reached its height. After years of negotiation, he was permitted to reside near the imperial capital and engage with scholars at the highest levels. His friendship and collaboration with Xu Guangqi became one of the great intellectual partnerships of the era. Together they translated major works like the Elements by Euclid, opening the door for Chinese scholars to study Western mathematics. And Xu's conversion to Catholicism further cemented Ricci's position as a respected figure among the literati. Ricci's approach to Christianity was marked by accommodation. He argued that Chinese ancestral rites and Confucian ceremonies were cultural rather than religious. This was quite different than in later times when the Catholic Church stressed that that these were pagan rites and must be stopped. And it was this that stopped the emperor of China, Kangxi, from converting. But in fact, centuries ago, Matteo Ricci, he said that these are able to coexist with Christian practice. And this position, though later connected to the rights controversy, reflected Ricci's deep appreciation for Chinese traditions. He believed the moral teachings of Confucianism prepared the ground for Christian ethics rather than contradicting them. When Ricci died in Beijing in 1610, the Ming court took the unusual step of allowing him to be buried inside the city, a privilege granted to no other foreigner at the time. His tomb still stands at the Jialam Cemetery, now part of the Beijing Normal University, a quiet tribute to a man who bridged worlds. Ricci's significance extends far beyond religion. He helped establish the first sustained scientific and cultural dialogue between China and Europe. His writings shaped European values of China for centuries, portraying it as a sophisticated and morally grounded civilization. In China, he is remembered as Li Ma Dou, a respectful scholar who treated Chinese civilization as equal rather than inferior. More than a missionary, Matteo Ricci was a cultural diplomat, scientist, linguist, geographer, philosopher, and friend to Chinese scholars. His life remains one of the most successful stories of intellectual and spiritual encounter between the East and West, built on humility, curiosity, and genuine respect. And with this, you may have noticed that I have once looped again to the place where I boarded off. And so, this area of Xujiahui, once the land that belongs to Xu Guangqi, is now a major economic hub and once served as the cultural and religious hub of China. Now you could see many skyscrapers in the place, and is a very important cultural hub and economic hub. This is the metro station of Xujiahui, and it is, I believe, one of the largest metro stations in China, and one of the oldest actually. This is a really small entrance. I didn't notice it when I first passed by. I just saw this poster up there. It is very small, kind of like the Soviet era metro entrances, but not that quite sure. And here you have the timetable. And here we come inside. So there's one mall here, Orient Shopping Center. We are going to another one. And you have a lot of like stores and restaurants and even a food center down here in the metro station. Kind of like a small mall itself, which is very extraordinary. And I believe the entrance gate to the station as well as the tickets are down there. We aren't taking the metro, but let's have a small look. Yeah, here you get it. It is a very busy station with, I believe, 3 lines converging. Here you have line 1. And line 9 and 11. You get to go even farther down there. And there are like 20 20 exits to the station, which is a lot. Most stations have like 4 or less, and usually for bigger stations, not less than 10. This signifies the importance of Xujiahui in the city of Shanghai. And here you get a lot of other restaurants, cafes, and stuff like that. Kind of like a small underground shopping center itself. You even have a salon here. This is the Grand Gateway Mall, which is very grand, I guess, like its name, and one of the biggest, I believe, in this area. Let us go outside and take a look. Here you come to the center. You can see, I believe this is the big ball we saw outside. Let us go out and take a look. The size is really big. It actually continues over there. And you see, there we still have something. So, all the small plate is mostly hidden down here. Let's go around and have a look. So I've just come out of this mall, and actually the ball-shaped structure is actually over there, so it is not over here, so got that part wrong. I entered the metro station on the other side of this road, so I basically just crossed this road underground, and here you get a view of the entire mall. It is flanked by 2 skyscrapers, and in between there's this, well, kind of bowl shaped, or I think it is kind of like a colosseum shape actually. The mall is situated under this structure. But here you have it. Basically the center of the centers and Xujiahui. And under this ground is the subway station. Man, this mall is just so big. I believe that place over there is the entrance, I guess. I took a big stroll around this block, and now it's just like new squares are like popping around everywhere. This is quite crazy. Arc'teryx, luxury clothing store. Prices here are all very high. Basically just like outdoor outfits and stuff like that, but all have very high prices. Yeah, just a small tour. Alright, let us take a brief more stroll over here. I was just having a very hard problem finding a public bench, and I just can't find any, and so I just sat in front of a restaurant on the restaurant's benches in front of it, and just as I got out, I just noticed there are public benches, but like in front of the toilet, so quite interesting design, I guess. We get a lot of different cuisines over here. You have Singaporean over there, you have Japanese, you have Vietnamese, Thai, and even more. So pretty globalized cuisine variety here. Let's go check out this Vietnamese restaurant. Here we go. Looks pretty nice. Check out the menu. Some Vietnamese food like pho. I think that's how it's pronounced. Banh mi, stuff like that. This is pho, and this is squid rolls. And this is cuttlefish cake and a coconut dessert. We have just finished dinner, and now let us get ready for the return trip. And here we go. We are about to embark on our return trip. The area is still very busy in the night, and there are still a lot of people around here. A few final footage of the night street in here. There are some residential buildings up there, built for, I think, like just traditional Chinese apartments up there. House prices are much more expensive in this region because of its centeredness. Like, comment, and share to support this channel. Subscribe for more hidden corners of the world.